one could work, certainly. But I think.
Happy New Year, folks. Welcome to 2021 and the 7th episode of Apex Instant Tips, coming to you live every Friday at 12:05 EST for 5 minutes. From Massachusetts, my name is Hayden.
And I'm Anton, and I hope everybody had a great break. I can't believe that we're already on our 7th episode. Hayden, we only have 5 minutes. I have a few minutes to stick around after that if you do.
I certainly do, and I look forward to it.
All right. Well, with that, we will get this going and get people out of here that want to in 5 minutes. Why don't you kick off our topic and our timer?
And our timer, let's never forget. Okay, so today's topic is how to break up colon-separated values. So, Anton, I'll put you on the spot. When was the last time you had to handle colon or comma-separated values programmatically?
Well, it was almost certainly with a checkbox item type with Apex. The checkboxes return the values that you check in a colon-separated list, and then I have to figure out, how do I get them out of the colon-separated list into a table or something like that.
Right. And another example, just to help people put this in context, if you are using the latest and greatest of the pop-up LOV features, and you choose, you allow your users to enter multiple values, like so, what you will then have to handle on the PL SQL side will be a comma or a colon separated value. So we've established that this is a real need that happens all the time in Apex. How to do this, and which brings me to why I'm excited about this tip, because this need includes, to my thinking, several pitfalls. So the first pitfall comes from Google. If you were to Google something to the effect of Oracle breakout comma separated string, by my counting, every link on the first page of Google will direct you to what I think is the incorrect solution, because most Google results are focused around the Apex 5 release, and the feature that I want to direct us to was only released in 5.1. So all of the hits on the first page of Google will direct you to a solution that looks something like this. So it is a regex substring connect by, and what do you think of this, Anton?
Well, I think it's bold and brave of you to bring up this very kind of use of connect by, because the last time that I was involved with the connect by, it also involved you, and I believe it involved a database that was essentially unusable because of the results of this.
Yes, if one, not to point fingers here, but if someone were to incorrectly write a connect by query as part of an insert statement, you could inadvertently find yourself as shutting down your database with an infinite loop. So
yeah, the infinite loop is if you don't quite get that level correct, you can end up getting, inserting rows all night long, I think, as it turned out.
It is a tough syntax. And so this tip is near and dear to my heart. There is a better way to do this. And so I want to direct our listeners to apexstring.split. So I could put the two queries side by side, but if you have any memory of what it looked like on the previous screen, it should be very obvious that this query is a lot cleaner. Do you have anything to say about this, Anton?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think this is definitely the way to go. Often where you have your list of names, what you'd end up with is colon P1 underscore names and a colon as the second parameter. But this is definitely the way to go. Couple mentions, the use of the table in the from clause is not necessary after you get to database 18C, I think, but you might as well use it because 12 definitely requires it. The other thing I'll point out is apexstring.split is the way to go. There's a deprecated apex util string to table. Yeah, don't use that because A, it's deprecated, and B, this is so much easier and actually faster.
Right. And if you were to go through the upgrade utility in Apex, Apex would point that out for you. So
oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so Apex is there to help you. It won't spot the connect by regex solution as a potential for upgrade, but it will spot the Apex util strings table. which was deprecated as of Apex 5.1.
Yeah, I actually just used this apex string.split, and I used split numbers because then it returns numbers instead of characters. But in creating a pop-up, a list of values, I wanted the last 12 months from today. So I needed basically 0 through -11 to get the last 12 months. Anybody internally at InSum, if you do a pure code review, you'll be able to see that we can now look at our last 12 months of leaders on the peer code review leaderboard.
Nice.
And I just wound down your clock, Hayden. I hope you didn't have much more to say.
Oh, nothing other than a catchy, don't use regex when you have Apex, which doesn't apply everywhere, but in this situation, it certainly does.
It absolutely does. I love that. Right there, we got to the last slide of the deck in the last few seconds. What I call that a win for sure.
Amen.
And so, as we do each week, if you checked in just for 5 minutes, please feel free. You don't have to stick around, but we would love if you want to ask some questions on this topic or anything else related to do so. But if you check out, don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, work on getting us a new play button. I'm sure my daughter will be happy to make fun of us again. So that said, Hayden, I've got a rating to give this, and then we'll do a wisdom of the week and take any questions. So my rating on this is pasta carbonara. It's all about strings, right? It's got to be pasta. And carbonara is a super easy meal to make. This is super easy to implement, and it's it's just so much better than the more complicated things that you might end up with on a Tuesday night. You want dinner, pasta carbonara is the way to go. So.
A fair rating, delicious one.
Yes. So this week's wisdom of the week, I can't take credit for, but I just saw it the other day. I don't have a good attribution to it, but essentially it is, if you're worried about losing some data, just put it in a to-do comment. Those things never get removed.
Snarky wisdom is the best wisdom.
I've actually been doing some review of my own code over the last few days and have come across several to-dos, many of which need to get done, but most of which actually are, take a look at this, maybe it should be improved, and they don't actually have to get done. So we've implemented on the last couple projects that I've been working on a two-tier kind of thing. If you put to-do in code, it is not going into production. But if you put to improve, we'll let it slide. So something to consider. I think having these two tiers, you're never going to write the best possible code. There are deadlines, but to-dos need to get done.
And how is it that you prevent the to-dos from entering production?
Well, we just have a quick query that scans through it and looks through to see that there's nothing that says to do in the PL SQL code or in the Apex app. Pretty easy to do.
I like that. Yeah.
So, like I said, to improve can sneak through though. Well, I'm going to check and see if there are any comments, any questions that people might have. I see one that says, and I think we probably already commented on it, but that this Apex _ string can be used outside of Apex. You don't need to be in an app or anything like that. I make use of it frequently just in SQL Plus if I'm trying to generate like a few rows of data, or in SQL Developer to do something. I make use of Apex String.split, all the time.
Absolutely. And I guess as a theme, I often use Apex utilities in my PL SQL independent of Apex.
So this is a great one from Angel. In what cases do you think it's recommended to store values like Angel, Hayden, Anton, et cetera, in the database? Hayden, you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I don't think I would store them in that format. I think I would try to parse that into something more usable. So I would either want to store it as an array, or I would want to turn it into individual rows.
And I think that's my normal approach as well, is that I would turn it into individual rows. That said, there is some expedience to putting data like that into a table. For example, I know of a system where they put diagnostic codes. If you're being diagnosed, that they come in a comma separated list of ICD-10 diagnosis codes, and it's not always the best way. It makes reporting on it more difficult and so forth, but it is expedient and not always. Tags, Egle is saying tags, for example, and I think that's a good possibility, but it's the same kind of thing. You could put those tags as a detail table.
And it is also possible to have a nested table within your table, if you so choose.
That's right. And the other option is to, for example, store that as a JSON in the table. I will say I'm generally a fan of a detailed table, but I'm also able to be convinced that from an expedience standpoint, sometimes it's valid to stick something like that right in a table. And if you were to look under the covers at the Apex builder itself, you'll see there are plenty of places that Apex does put colon separated files into the metadata about your application.
Right.
Great. So I see a couple of comments in here that don't necessarily relate to Apex String, but one of those is around whether you recommend one large application or several small applications. Where do you draw the line? Number of pages, those kinds of things. This is something that I often get involved in trying to think about what's the right answer to this. You have Hayden's thoughts on it, Hayden?
Well, I was actually very excited to hear your answer, because I've often engaged with clients on what the correct number of pages for an application is. And
I actually don't think it's number of pages at all. I don't think that is even a relevant topic on this. It's really about functionality. And if I want to be able to deliver functionality in separate bundles, then I'm more likely to do it as a separate application, particularly, and not everybody uses supporting objects, but if I want to be able to ship out separate applications with separate supporting objects and separate installation requirements or questions, that's more likely why I'm going to break one out. But the other thing is, it's also about installation. Installing a very large application can take some time, and if you have a rapid release cycle where you're releasing things every couple of weeks, sometimes you want to have smaller bundles that you can have smaller outage windows. You can have so more discrete things. So for me, it's really not about number of pages. It's really about the installation code promotion process, and sometimes that is related to the number of pages. But moreover, for me, it's about grouping functionality. Not a great answer, but that's my take on it. So
it's a subtle question. I liked your answer. I will have to think on it. And no doubt different contexts will ask for different answers.
Sure. I'll say I also sometimes get into the mode that I end up with one very large page, and that page turns regions on and turns regions off, and then I realize I probably should have broken this into 2 pages instead of 1 page. It's got so much complexity in it. So sometimes it comes down to that, as well as it's just how much complexity does it drive. So great. Well, I don't think that there's any reason we have to stick around very long. It's been a great, it looks like, is that 14 minutes, which is right in line with where we end up. So certainly you've wasted another 10 to 15 minutes listening to Hayden and myself, and we appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see folks next week. Hayden, any thoughts?
No. Goodbye, everybody. See you.
All those things. Smash the bell, subscribe, like, tell your friends.
Excellent.
Bye-bye.